What's up, everybody? This is Edward back with another video, another episode of Everybody Hates Black Men. I'm your host, Edward Anderson. This is going to be a rant, so I'm going to let you know. I'm just going to give you all the disclaimer for anybody to watch the replay. If you are easily triggered by inflammatory commentary, if you get upset about being told the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, if you live in your narratives of your favorite creators that have been gaslighting you for, pretty much a decade, if you are a female and you expect men to, you like to listen to men that'll kiss your ass, you need to not watch this because you are going to be upset. If you are a pro black simp, that you feel you get pitter pat when it comes to black women and you feel sorry for their plight and they believe that fundamentally, everything is black men's fault. You need to not listen to this. I am letting you know right now because you probably are not gonna like what I have to say. And I'm letting you know straight up that I say what I say. I said what I said. I'm saying that before I say anything. I stand by everything I say. I don't give a fuck about what you think. And you can go to hell. I'm just saying that up front. That's one of these types of videos. So, this actually, I put SWP in there just because SWP has gone a long way with, Chrissy used to be one of the main Chrissy and Kerrison used to be the main two people he would go back and forth with. It was a whole bunch of other people, but he was the main one that was really on the Kerrison beat, the Chrissy beat. Because personally, I can't stand listening to these fucking nasal sounding, valley girl females that try to have a white scent to make them more to appealing appealing to white men. And it's not because they're trying to date white men. It's just because I just can't stand that sound. I really can't. That sound because it's just so fake. I remember one time I had not a conversation. We had a debate with O'Shea about swirling. I said men don't swirl. Men don't swirl. Only women swirl, and this was a concept a lot of dudes didn't understand why I was saying that. And I was like, one the reason why I think even BGS thought that men swirl. No, men don't swirl because men don't change who they are. Men don't change who they are in order to date. Men are just are who they are. If you're a swag dude, that's who you are. You're a street dude, that's who you are. If you're a Carlton Banks type, that's who you are. You are who you are, and we don't really modify our behavior for generally for any race. To be honest with you, the irony is the only group of women that black men documentedly change their behavior for or will change their behavior for is actually our own women. Our own women. Because there's a lot of dudes that try to fit into that hood box that, we got a lot of hood actors. I mean, I could argue Future's a hood actor, to be honest with you. Some of your more Patriot States, a thugger. Future is not NBA Youngboy. Those are NBA Youngboy comes from that life, lives that life, is that life. If you understand anything about him, he is that. Future is not necessarily that, by the way. Drake, like there's black men that we try to fit in our own culture rather than being who we are, the diversity that is blackness. That's low key even a big issue with the Tyler thing on the low. A lot of that on the low. Which is why I've always been interested in the Tyler situation, because Tyler is somebody devoid of like matriarchal upbringing. And I'm gonna tell you, she has black women that they're fans, but that's triggering to a lot of black women. And the color thing, even though I may agree with her being goofy and if you don't fuck with black men, if you don't fuck with black people in America, we don't have to fuck with you, and it's always going to be a political element to the music that she's just not willing to engage in, especially if you're not going to engage in the ratchetry like a red or a you know what. Although still, I do understand it. Where Tyler really messed up is not really understanding the color politics that black women are on, and that's a failure of her team. That's a failure of her. And I guess her team decided to play like she's above it. And that's not going to work. It's not. Cause that's something that black women are not going to let go. And this is something Lotto has had to deal with. Other artists have been subject to this. This is not something that's unique to her. It's not. And other black and dark skinned artists have their own things they got to deal with when it comes to black women. So, she just thought, oh, I'm above it. I'm just going to deal with the rest of the world. Okay, that's fine. Go do that. Nobody cares. They really don't like that. You know, people that want to hear your music are going to hear it, but whatever. Which, by the way, before I get started, one thing that's always noticed me if I was going to talk to South Africans in particular is, why I have yet to see a video. Any of you all in the links, please share with me in the Discord. Email me, edwardanderson300k at gmail.com. Email me a video, a TikTok, a link, really, particularly a video, preferably, of any South African or anybody that's a Tyler fan giving smoke to white people or Caucasians about her only having 3,700 records. They like to talk about how much Tyler and this is not about Tyler, but this is kind of why y'all coming in here. They like to talk about um how much Tyler was promoted to the black community, but what a lot of people don't want to say, the Grammys, white people watch that more than anybody. When you go on these Tonight shows, those are white people that watch that. When you go on Nickelodeon, those are young. I mean, there are black people that will watch it, but those are white. Nickelodeon is white people. You were promoted to white people too, and white people didn't buy your shit. And your team, y'all had no smoke for white people. Y'all had no smoke for white people because they thought you were a pet. They thought you were something that was cute, but ultimately they took your money and didn't take you seriously. They didn't. We actually gave you a look over and found something we didn't like, which is that colored shit. They already knew what you were. It doesn't matter if you're mixed with Indian, mixed with whatever, they already knew what it was. That's why they don't need to talk about it, because it's like, look, okay, you may be a little less ratchet than the others, but this is still what this is. And quite frankly, Beyonce and Rihanna kind of submitted her ticket to better things, and Beyonce is still touring. So no, we don't have any openings for negresses right now in the pop section, regardless where you all come from. And quite frankly, I said it before, I'm gonna say it again, Afro beats is something that white people can't, the people that control our music industry can't control that global situation. And because they can't control it, it's just like what's going on with TikTok. They can't control it. And so they'll tell you what they need to tell you to get some free money to have you appear on a show or appear on a thing once or twice, because they know you're not like Sabrina, where they're gonna have you doing recurring revolutions. I knew they were gonna push Sabrina Carpenter hard when I saw how they pushed her new album out. So yeah, she's the one. Her and that Eilish chick, those gonna be the two that they're gonna really be pushing right now. And she quite frankly is like a black version of Sabrina Carpenter. Honestly, even if you look at a lot of obviously you don't make the same music, but when you look at like the kind of cadences of a lot of stuff, they're the same chick, and they're not gonna do that. They got too much investment in her via that Girl Meets World and all that. So, but because they know their place, they won't dare raise their hand to Caucasians. But when it comes to black people, and I'm talking about her audience, but when it comes to black people, they got all the smoke. And that and this, I'm setting the table for this to go to what I really want to talk about. But that's why African Americans don't really respect, like when it comes to this is why we don't respect South Africans. This is why we don't respect coloreds or mixed people, the in the middles. I'm gonna start calling y'all middles, because y'all really be trying to act, because we know white supremacy won because you all don't even really fight it. You all basically do what the Hispanics do, is you all pretend it doesn't exist. And that's how we know that's cowardly. For you all, that's especially when you're the majority in your country and you belong to a bloc now that's backed by another pretty much superpower. America got way too many problems to really be worried about South Africa like that. And so that's cowardly. It is. There's no, like, I swear to God, Nelson Mandela would have died in jail if it wasn't for African Americans. Like, straight up. Like I really do believe that. And I dare somebody try to argue against that. Like, he would have died in jail. Like, straight up, man. You know, when you look at, and people will say, that's crazy. I may take this part of the video and actually cut it out and make it its own video. But when you really think about like what's going on in Gaza and stuff like that, that was pretty much South Africa. It wasn't as bad. Well, before they started just straight up killing people. But that situation, it was a very similar situation. It was a very like similar situation. Very similar. And if it and we, I'm not trying to say we were wholly responsible. We were definitely responsible for really giving platform and more like really pushing that on the global stage at that time. And if nobody would have paid attention to it, it'd be just like what you know the Gaza situation is now and has been. It wouldn't have changed. It wouldn't have. It was the heat that the South Africans were put on that really over time that made them have to change because it created a domino effect. And as soon as people stop talking about it like that, well, this is why they still have the majority of wealth. And then you got people in the middle, the middles, that want to sit here and then act like, well, it's just our culture. Yeah, your culture, you were born out of oppression. See, the fucking thing that's funny is I'm thinking about this out loud. We're kind of opposites in that way. You know what I don't you remind like a lot of black African Americans don't know this history because it's not taught, but you actually remind us a little bit of the problems that you know the original like people that were released out of slavery when they went to Liberia, the issue the local Liberians had with them. And they're not perfect either, the Liberians, but the reason it caused that civil war. You all are a lot like them. That kind of off branch group that they did leave and go back to Africa and they ended up, you know, Liberia, American territory, and they ran it until the Liberians overturned that shit because, you know, we got to give or take, guys. You actually remind me a lot of them. You are, in a lot of ways, are the inverse of the African Americans that chose to stay. You all chose to play the game. You all were allowed to be in the middle as a way of buffer and being a buffer class. And my thing is, just like these white folks, y'all don't own that shit. Y'all try to act like it's just culture. It's just no. And I don't want to hear the Indian shit because can be just as fuck. I grew up with Indians, and they can be just as vicious. And they can. Well, Indians are not the same kind of racism because they typically don't do confrontation because they don't have numbers or the will for it. They're not gonna play that game, but they'll try to do more behind the scenes stuff if they do that to the extent. For the most part, they keep themselves out here, but they do be having some bigoted. They're more bigoted, and so my point is, don't try to act like the Indian thing kind of is like makes you less racist. The reality is, no matter how y'all, I don't care how y'all feel about it or how y'all get mad about it, you all are race traitors. That's what we would call people to act like you here. And as South Africans are too fucking stupid, just like our women like to and obviously I'm light skinned. And I say this as a light skinned person, by the way. But our women, and this is why I'm getting into this colorism promotion shit that Chrissy was talking about. And there's a reason why I'm bringing her up out of the blue. Because she decided to open her fucking mouth about the manosphere. You know, rather than letting sleeping dogs lie, you know, she like, you know, the manosphere is the great boogeyman, which we ain't going nowhere. Bitch, you already lost that battle. But you all are race traders. And the South Africans are too fucking stupid, quite frankly, to understand that. And I'm just going to say it just like that. Because honestly, that's on them too. The fact that they're talking about stuff like trying to create their own country and freeze out the wealth, even though y'all got the quote unquote power, especially being a part of the BRICS. I don't understand why you're a part of the BRICS. Like, I don't understand the benefit of you all being a part of the BRICS if you're not going to have backing from China to actually do some stuff you need to do. Because the Indians shouldn't really care about the white people like that anyway, because that doesn't really affect them, as some of them are mixed in. So they wouldn't care, because that doesn't even affect them in a bad way. That's a different deal they can make. I don't understand why y'all in the BRICS, except to have the protection against white people trying to punish you all for stuff. That's why I thought y'all was in the BRICS. But apparently y'all just traded one master for another. But I'ma leave that there. I'ma leave that I'ma leave that there. But like straight up, like it's funny, when I sometimes I'll see on TikTok, these middles will come up in here, come and make these videos, like they're so they're so assertive. They're so, I don't want to say not the word convicted, but they have so much certainty that they're right, and they don't know I'm talking about dudes too. I ain't even really talking about the women, because the dudes, like, it's like you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like the reality, you already see what's going on when they actually focus on you. Look at what happened with the Koreans. When they focus on you and they don't let y'all just go under the radar, and y'all get benefits under the table, and they actually they put the light on the fucking roaches, and I'm gonna say it just like that, and all the scams and all the stuff comes out, and y'all even get a taste of the stuff that we basically had to endure since us being here, you all collapse. You all don't know what to do. Even a lot of people talking about, well, the Koreans. And yeah, I got to admit, I didn't realize they were that deep in the EV industry. They are very deep in the electric vehicle and battery industry. But the reality is South Korea survives because of America. South Korea's the way South Korea is currently is there because we keep the North Koreans from uniting the Korean peninsula, which the South Koreans could not do on their own. Now they may become something else, but a lot of your rights would be removed. Would be removed. A lot of the independent, the 4B move, all that would go out the fucking window. And the reality is, it is American protection. And when I say our, black people are I'm not sure if it's more Hispanics in the armed services than black, but I don't think it is. We're in the military too. So no matter what the fuck they do for us, the reality is we pay them well in the American market, and then being able to sell products to us in the American market, which are not able to sell products in Europe like that is to us, and then we pay them in military protection, so they can jump up and down all they want to. But if we really wanted to get heavy-handed with their ass, like we actually really could. They're being allowed to jump up and down and be upset about the embarrassment. But if they really say, like that Honda, we not doing business with you no more. Okay, cool. This military, we can save some fucking money, and we'll figure it out. You know, people don't think about that because they're too busy trying to say Trump man bad, and I'm not saying Trump man bad rather than look at the overall perspective. But my point is, a lot of these, and I don't have a personal issue, but it'd be like people have so much conviction. That's what it is. Conviction. I just woke up, so whatever. Conviction being like, I'm like, yo, get the fuck out of here, man. If y'all don't sit y'all ass down, like for real, for real. All right, we're at 74. Make sure y'all get the likes up. Like, y'all really talking like y'all don't even know what the fuck y'all talking about. You all exist as a mechanism to control the South Africans. That's your purpose for being here. Just like the purpose why we were bred was in order to work. I know a lot of people want to claim they're Indian. Some of y'all may have Indian blood, but miss me with that shit. You all exist for that purpose. Today, you still kind of low-key exist for that purpose. It's just more economical now and not political. That's why you exist. That's why. You don't exist for anything. You all think y'all have this independent thing. You all base yourself based against the Africans. If you remove the South Africans out of the equation, you all be fucking glorified Hispanics, and not even that. And when I say that, I mean white people don't take you fucking seriously. They just placate you because of the purpose that you serve. That's really what it is. And for you all not to have enough self-awareness to understand that is amazing to me. It's amazing to me. It's this typical fucking mud hut tribal warfare bullshit that actually is what keeps Africa weak. That most of these countries haven't fucking figured out. But then you all want to get upset because she wants to sit there and take that brain. That's what a lot of the chicks were really mad about. It's that two-way shit that a lot of light skinned biracial chicks. I've been trapped in biracial TikTok for a while now, seeing, boy, I've seen videos where bitches are talking about white passing, and they're not white passing. It's amazing to me, like the psychology and pathology in some of these chicks. But see, the problem is, I actually think women are as intelligent as men, and sometimes that's a mistake to believe that they can rise above their emotions. Anyway, so we hit that for 20 minutes. Now let's get on a real topic. No, this so Swift. Let me be very clear here. I kind of mentioned SWP because SWP goes way back with Chrissy. SWP really, and he's gonna be lumped into the overall conversation I make because he's made this point as well. But this is really not really anything SWP has said recently. He actually has a 2.5 video that's actually really good. If you all are cleaning or you all are driving or doing something, definitely check that video out. Like video like that, I've listened to 2.0 playback speed, but I've listened to about 2 hours or 2 hours and 30 minutes, and he hasn't missed on that video. It's a good video where he goes after Legion of Men, Nick Fuentes, really breaks a lot of stuff down, especially if you don't anybody that doesn't typically listen to him, if you want to get all of that on the checking white people side, in one video, this is a really good video to do that. But the reason why I have him in this video is because of some of his thoughts about colorism that he has recently mentioned, but he hasn't made a video about it. And also, he goes way back with Chrissy as well, so it kind of lumps in a couple of my thoughts. And I've, so with him, it's not nothing new. I just lumped it in there, low key on some clickbait shit. But really, the topic is Chrissy and her bullshit. So, Shay did a video on I listened to a couple minutes of it on corrective promotion and why it fails without black men. I've listened to a couple minutes of it, but I'm gonna give my own thoughts with that kind of, and some of y'all are newer than others. Chrissy is a chick that goes all the way back to like 2015, 2016. She's one of these original, black women, find your options channels. She predates Paris Milan. I don't even know if Paris Milan is Paris Milan even still around, or did she stay ran off? Because Paris Milan, look, man, I can't stand Chrissy, but Paris Milan did swagger jack her channel. Like, okay, so she's still not around. I don't know. Maybe she changed her channel, but yeah, she said, yeah, Paris Milan did straight up swagger jack her channel. I'm not even gonna act like that didn't happen. But basically, Paris Milan was able to do that because Chrissy doesn't show her face. Chrissy doesn't show her face, and Paris did, and that was what that was. But Chrissy was one of these fake pro-blacks. She used to kind of sort of listen to Jason Black, believe in the magical, basically dude she's attracted to is just going to value her for her being black and nothing else, that bullshit. And, once she realized that wasn't going to happen, she basically wanted to do black women need to date outside their race. They need to do options. Everything's wrong with black men. She never went as hard as Cynthia G, which is abort black male babies. But, she used colorism. Her basically shtick is colorism is pretty much the real racism. Colorism and black men are just as racist as white men because we practice colorism. Yet another ugly. So the original ugly girl argument, bitch. At least Rashida Schroeder showed her face. People get, the only thing I say Chrissy is probably positively contributed to the black community is promoting black women to fucking learn how to wear lipstick. Because I swear to God, some women, they wear lipstick they ain't got no business wearing. Red does not go with a lot of you all, and I've seen that in real life. And that's the one thing she did do that put out there, because some of these chicks really need some game on lipstick. Some of them have it, some of them don't. But other than that, she was the original, which, by the way, black men low-key did help support that website she had, but she don't ever give black men credit for that, but whatever. But the point is, she's one of these original, colorism is the real racism shit. That's who she is. And she's one of those original people that tried to shut down the manosphere, get the manosphere canceled, and she lost that battle. She's also one of the ones who used to help bully women off of the internet that would be like Shay Sade. If Shay Sade would have been, and this is not, Shay Sade did not put me up to doing this or nothing like that. This is I saw she was running her mouth about the manosphere, and she decided to lump what you call it into the manosphere. Somebody sent me a clip on that, and they wanted to know my thoughts in my Discord. And Shay Sade got accused of like being a part of the manosphere. Like, and because that's kind of a low key way of trying to get her people to attack other people. That's like a dog whistle. And the reality is, man, you got, look, I can name a whole bunch of names, like, especially post Kevin Samuels people that came out right before Kevin Samuels, Dee Dee, Reva T. It's a whole bunch of people. I mean, Danica, it's a whole bunch of people. It's a whole bunch of people. It's a lot more women now than there ever were. And so the problem is so messy, a whole bunch, like, you can't bully these chicks off the internet anymore. Y'all can't do that goofy ass shit that y'all used to do. It just doesn't work because, quite frankly, it's more of them. It's more of those. It may not be a bigger audience, but it's definitely more of those channels. And most of these women do show their face than y'all do. Y'all are hiding because a lot of y'all got issues y'all don't want to show. I've shown my face. I just don't show it all the time. But y'all never be seen because we already know a lot of y'all that be really talking that colorism shit be big bags. Y'all be big bags. Y'all are not as attractive as y'all say y'all are, and it will really prove our ugly girl argument. I don't give a fuck about what job you have. Anybody has over 100 or 200,000, it's cap. Shout out to Impressive TV. But it's cap. Y'all make too much money off of YouTube to be sitting here acting like you can't even show a fucking AI rendered cartoon image to give somebody an idea. No, you make sure it's just a fucking silhouette, and people can kiss my ass with that shit. Like, for real, for real. Most of us have been seen, even if some of us have been doxxed. Most of the people seen what we look like. So anyway, that being said, let me get right into the premise. The premise is that the premise Chrissy's this is Chrissy's premise is that Chrissy's premise Chrissy's original premise was that black women need to take control of their own corrective promotion. That's what her premise kind of used to be. That you can't depend on black men are useless, and you can't depend on them for positive promotion, but you can depend. So black women have to do it. No woman controls their own promotion without their men. So what you're doing essentially has not been done. It hasn't been done. Straight, number one, because your value comes from the men. And I know that's something that black women cannot accept. They cannot understand that. They cannot understand that. And that's why it would never work. That was Shay's premise on her video. And you can't, and Chrissy typically doesn't respond. Chrissy doesn't typically respond, especially in smaller channels. But Shay has a very good, canny ability to bother them. And it's not so much what Shay Sade says, although on Twitter, she be going in a little bit. Not like in a bad way, but she irks them on Twitter. It's because of what Shay Sade represents. That's the issue. Shay Sade represents a normal black woman. And when I say normal, I don't necessarily mean average. When I say normal, I'm talking a black woman devoid of the matriarchal bullshit, devoid of the trauma shit. See, that requires a certain particular cake, a recipe that creates the black woman of the day culturally. Usually it has to be born out of single motherhood. And if a father is there, if a husband is in the house, usually that husband, it's very matriarchal in the household. And even if it's not, the other ingredient usually comes from that they're around a matriarchal situation. So a man has to make himself smaller in order to fit in that box. Very interesting. Usually these are 3 ways that these situations come from. Or what it is too is you got, because I've always been told, and maybe I'm wrong, I'll admit that, that Chrissy's like got Caribbean in her. So you be having situations like this definitely happened with Rashida Schrober, where you'll have women that they're blaming African American men for shit that they grew up around that wasn't African American men related. And I'm not saying African American men don't do bullshit. Sure they do. But you got a lot of these people that when you start digging in their backgrounds, you start finding out, oh, this is really Caribbean bullshit. You all are just cloaking it and basically jumping on the black men ain't shit train, and African American men have to kind of absorb all of that because we've never really looked in a lot of these chicks' backgrounds, and we're starting finding out the fuckery y'all fuckery origin stories really don't got much to do with us outside of like dating. But when it comes to like what y'all grew up with, household some of y'all grew up in bullshit ass households. This is not always the case. This is not always the case. But even with like Karazin's origin story is she went to deal with hood niggas. She had a hood traumatic experience. She jumped on the dude that she had her first kid with. She tried to coerce a baby out of that dude. That dude stood on business. Not every black man's a problem because the dude you tried to entrap said F you. He didn't pull an Ant-Man on you, but he definitely was like, I didn't want you. I told you that before. I'm telling you that now. The baby don't change that. And she could never handle that. So because her ego couldn't take that, she basically ran to a white dude that made less money until he didn't. And then who knows what she was doing. I'm not going to put stuff out there that I haven't substantiated, but that stuff is true. What I just said. And so it's all a lot of these original chicks is always bullshit like that. It's never like 100% like on point because their arguments are really projection. But going back, her premise was that black women need to take their own promotion. Here's the problem with that. Black women are the problem. See, the issue is black women are matriarchal. They operate in the inverse of what most other women do. Other women may act up on a spectrum, but black women are fundamentally inverted. African American women in particular. Now, this is not to say Nigerian women, I'm starting to find out, are inverted as well. Inverted as well. This is why they become flaming feminists when they get over here. Because that Islam over there, that Muslim, like Igbos are Christian, but I think the Yoruba are more Muslim. That stuff keeps that under control over there. So when they come over here, they start flaming out. Chrissy's not Nigerian, but I'm just bringing this all here. The point is, you all software is faulty. It doesn't matter why. It just is. Because the why is irrelevant to what you're trying to do. And because it's faulty, you believe that in order to promote because it's like, who are you promoting your femininity to? You're not promoting it to black men. You're promoting it to non-black men. But the problem is you are in a white supremacist world and in a white supremacist country. And your femininity is a threat to white supremacy. That's the thing you, despite being educated, don't fucking seem to understand. And so fuck whatever black men think. White people are completely against that shit. They may give lip service to it, like the bleeding heart liberals, but even the liberals, nobody agrees with that. Hollywood is proof of that. Dark-skinned femininity is a threat to the country. And so black men are the only group of men that at scale would give a fuck about that. No other man would. Why would any other man give a fuck about black femininity outside of what they can extract from it? Why would Hispanic men, I might argue Hispanic men are more quote unquote colorist or against black femininity than white men are. Just ask a Marilyn Negra, because Hispanic men are still trying to be in whiteness versus white people trying to maintain whiteness. But that fucking so with this inevitably always turns into is a black bashing contest. Black men give a fuck more about black femininity than black women do. Oh shit. What the fuck did I just say? What? What? Huh? The fuck he just say? Black men give a fuck about black femininity more than black women do, because black women have this issue with measuring their femininity against this empowered bullshit. See, the problem is black women are in competition with black men. You can't be in competition without the masculine without being masculine, because there's no other way to really beat it, not in a capitalistic way. There's ways of working with it on some yin and yang shit, aka feminine wild and feminine charm, but that's not how black women have been told to work. And so black women try to compete with black men in a masculine way. See, you don't compete with men in a feminine way, you work with men in a feminine way, which is why yin and yang works together. But that's not what they're trying to do. They're trying to dominate men. Because why? Because black women are really trying to get to the white man. They're trying to have their feminine. Black women are interested in their femininity being validated by everybody else, not just white men. Because see, at least black men will give black women white men to a certain extent, because again, the situation we're in white supremacy, of black men have guilt. Black men are a lot less tolerant with black women when it comes to Hispanics, Indians, or Arabs. Because you can't pull the white ice is colder bullshit with Hispanics, Indians, or Arabs. And I'm not talking about necessarily white Hispanics, but you know what I'm talking about. You can't play the white supremacy card there. You can't play that card there, because we already know that y'all are not willing to do what those groups, because those groups are patriarchal for real. White men will at least work with you a little bit, as long as you don't piss them off. Because you have a lot of these liberal white dudes. It's not true, or European liberal white dudes. It's not true with these Hispanics. These Hispanics want some, like, even their age of consent in their cultures is very different than ours. It's not the same. It's real patriarchy over there. And that's something that black women, unless they're just built different, which most of you all, like 95% of you all aren't, are not dealing with that. And so when you look at this but these are all the people, black women. This is why I keep talking about that black tax. Because it's not just and that's where I'm really going to start hammering it, because it's hard to get black men to be on that that when it comes to white men, because there's that guilt. But black men tend to be less tolerant on that when it comes to other races, because other races didn't beat black men. Indians didn't, Hispanics didn't, Asians didn't. So we tend to not have that same. So when we see a black chick with like a non-white dude, it's like we really on some. Oh yeah, you are on some only on other stuff, because you can't even blame that on whites. You can't even blame that on white supremacy. You can't. I'm talking, especially if you're not Afro Latina. And that's actually something I'm going to start going deeper into, because quiet as it's kept, black women have been fucking Arabs. Black men and women have been fucking Indian. A lot of these chicks have been put in places in a pussy that you wouldn't want to deal with them if you really knew. It ain't just white men that these bitches be fucking. They be fucking more than just that. And even if you willing to give them a low-key pass on that because of we didn't beat the white man, that is not true with everybody else. But anyway, they're shopping this femininity to everybody but black men. And because of that, they have this kind of issue where, on the one hand, because they deal with black men more than anybody else, on the one hand, they want to tell black men don't deserve femininity. This is what most black women believe, which is one of the reasons why Danica Marie triggers a lot of black women, why Shay triggers a lot of black women. They don't believe that black men deserve any feminine. This is where the body positivity bullshit really comes from. This is where the take me as I am, which is a classic bullshit, comes from. This is where black women believe they deserve everything. You deserve nothing. If you actually ask a black woman that, most of them won't deny it, or if they do, they'll hesitate, because that is what a lot of them believe. This is why when you ask them what do you bring to the table, they never understand the answer to that question, because they don't believe they should have to bring everything to the table. They believe you have to bring everything, and they believe they have to bring nothing. They don't believe they have to bring femininity, sexual skills, any kind. Like, this is why these chicks go out of their way saying when they get BBLs or they look good, even though a lot of them are lying, they look good for other women. Because they fundamentally believe you don't deserve anything. And then when they get a nigga that they want, They don't really have the skills to really, they may be able to attract that dude for a nut, but they can't keep that dude for a relationship. So then black men become bad because they don't understand those skills have not been perfected, because you all come from a culture that basically says black men don't deserve shit. So when you all do get around men that y'all want, whether it's black or non-black, you all don't really have the skills to hold them, unless that dude is on some fetish shit, on some controlling shit, or whatever, whatever. Which is why a lot of these relationships are fucked up. Not everyone is fucked up, but most of them are, or they're kept secret, or something like that, for a variety of reasons. So my point in saying all of this is, you all don't even have the fundamental mindset really necessary to even attempt what you're trying to do. On a practical standpoint, what you're trying to do is possible, but you all would never be the women to be able to pull it off, because you all can't even determine what black is. Chrissy, y'all, like Chrissy will go, they'll go after light skinned women and shit, but the truth is, they tried to do that, but the truth is, black women as a whole are not willing to let light skinned women go. This is one of the critiques SWP used to give on this colorism thing, because he used to really hear him out. And even though Chrissy's a content creator, will be on some light skinned bitch shit, the reality is her audience is not on that. Her audience is incapable, just like with Kerosene. When Kerosene used to want to tell black women that they deal with black men, but the views and the money and the watch time was in bashing black men. These women were more, and she ended up saying it later, these women were more interested in bashing black men than pursuing white men, because they're not willing to fulfill those standards necessary to get a white man. Kerosene is naturally on the smaller end. I'm not saying she ain't got to do nothing to maintain that, but maintain that she probably does, especially at her age now. But the reality is, Kerosene's built different than a lot of these other women. She's in the West Coast, Valley Girl shit. These other women, they're not. They want a white man like they want to go to a fucking fast food restaurant and get one on the menu. They are not willing to work for it, and it's obvious because they would have. That's why they always give excuses. When it comes down to it, they rather bash black men than go after. That's why it's always been a much bigger threat, men dating out, than women dating out. Black men have never really worried about black women dating out, because at the end of the day, your reputation is what it is. And so her whole premise of doing that, black women are fundamentally not in the headspace, and that's your fault. That's your fault. When the women don't teach other women like the feminine things necessary to move through this world, that is women's fault. Men ain't got nothing to do with that. Men may have something to have to do with giving women baseline confidence. Yes. So they're not looking for a daddy in these dudes all the time, sure. But when it comes to like the actual skills, the mechanical skills of how to be a woman, how to put on makeup, how to clean that pussy, because a lot of these chicks, these chicks are starting to appear, and that's according to what It's Just a Girl. Women talk about smelly coochie and all that. That's a failure on you all's end, and they ain't got nothing to do with men. They ain't got nothing to do with men. And even on the dad confidence thing, the reality is, again, you choose the father for your children. Up until recently, women were able to abort kids. You all choose who you let nut in you. You choose who you give the opportunity to nut in you. And you all sit there and trying to coerce a relationship with your coochie, mainly because you all don't have feminine skills. That's why you all are leaning so hard in the sex, because y'all don't have nothing else but that. That's really what it is. If you ask a woman to be feminine, a black chick, she's going to twerk, because that's what she knows, because that's what she's been taught. And then you can blame hip hop music for that. The women reinforce that in their own homes. And with the whore household, as Jason Black used to talk about, which is absolutely apparent in 2025. So that shit was always born to fail. It always was. And making somebody feel guilty about it, like Rashida Schroeder, was always born to fail. Because again, you all are just as colorist as the people y'all like to talk about. You all believe in white supremacy, you just don't like your place in it. That's the issue. And because you believe that, you're not willing to really truly compete with it, which is what it would actually take. And you can't. And then when you and by the way, here's an example of how it is, like the warrior king queen, that shit with Viola Davis, the type of people you all promote, Sexy Red, Glorilla, whether it's the younger generation now with Red and Glorilla, or if it was Kaya. It's always hell. Even the backlash cooking with Kaya got. I'm talking about Kaya. My neck, my back. But with cooking with Kaya got. Even though cooking with Kaya is a female identified chick, she's just not against men. That really said a lot. That said more than the T app. So the reality, this is like now we talk about two generations now, millennials and now the Z's, and with this mindset. And so this thing about your own promotion, y'all don't believe in that because y'all don't even believe in getting around dark skin. I've said it myself. There should be a diaspora pageant. There should be a diaspora pageant. Hell, y'all should have a dark skinned female pageant that highlights dark skin. And then if anybody say something about it, you'd be like, well, it's really no different than a national pageant. This is just something we prefer to promote because dark skinned women they should have that. Y'all should have compelled Essence Festival to have that. You should have had Essence Festival compelled to have that. But see, now we got to get into the body positivity bullshit and deal with that. Now we got to deal with the take me as I am crap. Now y'all got to compete. African American women are going to have to compete against women globally. When it comes to dark skin, black women actually buy enough shit to have companies that could support that. And black men wouldn't be against that. But see, that requires you actually wanting to build something and not wanting to just be like it's black men's fault and try to carve something out where you all are separate from black men. That's the problem. And then you want to be separate from black men, but you want black men to fund shit. That's the also problem. I mean, it's funny because people talk about like light skinned women get a pass. You see what's going on with Aisha Curry right now? It's going viral. Light skinned women don't get a pass. They just don't. They just don't count it when we actually do check light skinned women. Light skinned women get checked all the time. It just doesn't count. It doesn't count because it doesn't fit their narrative. But that crap was shit. That shit was doomed to fail from the start because of that. And that's why they lean more into bashing black men than actually talking about. And then black men we oppress black women with colorism. But colorism exists because you all want to be white. That is the issue. You women, you always you upset about what dudes want, who dudes want to fuck. This is a bullshit about fucking Chris Brown. It doesn't count that he dated Rihanna, right? You all are upset about who dudes want to fuck and that you're not sexually chosen. But at the end of the day, that has nothing to do with colorism. It doesn't. You're upset that the men you want don't want you. Even Chrissy said in that video where her and Shay Sade were going back and forth, the one Shay was responding to, this is what Chrissy said, and I quote, I have never, hold on. I have never seen a chick talk about colorism that has never been able to get a black man. That shit should have killed your channel right then. Cause just because you don't get who you want does not mean that. Like, so basically, there are black men that will check for black women. You basically killed your whole channel with that shit right there. Your whole premise for your channel, you absolutely proved this bullshit. Because the idea is that we are basically oppressing you because you're dark. But somehow all these dark-skinned kids are still finding a way to be created. That's bullshit. I've said before, and I'll say it again, the template of African-American women should be Kelly Rowland. From a temperament standpoint, look standpoint, everything, absolutely. A lot of dudes like Nia Long, but I'm not going to get into all of that. My point is, that shit is colorism is just another way of being anti-black male. Most of these chicks, I said it in the Chris Brown video, these chicks are not doing what they need to do in order to make it so colorism is the only thing on the table. Essentially what they're saying is black men should just pick them because they're dark, even if they're bringing nothing else to the table. And if you require them to do anything, we're just going to call that colorism. If you do not elevate them, even though they don't earn it, they haven't earned it. Black women haven't earned it as mothers because a lot of black women are the mothers of trash. Black women have not earned it, and the sexual partners they have chosen. Then they got the nerve to tell niggas to the dudes that actually do the right thing to try to be singles or stepdads that are childless. You all have not earned black men really going. And black, quite frankly, there's more important things to worry about than how the fuck you feel when you look in a fucking mirror. Especially while telling us you don't need men. Now, going back to the last part of this video, I want to talk about the premise of this you know, blaming black men. Blaming black men. Of course, it always has to be black men's fault because accountability is like kryptonite to women in general, black women in particular. Here's the thing. And it's she blames the manosphere. Here's the reality situation. Sexy Red is not the manosphere's fault. Like, black women do more than enough. Black women promote their own, destroy their own reputation more than black men ever could. Like, nobody made women day after day after day go on Kevin Samuel's show and basically show their ass. Nobody makes black women go on Kendra G's show and show their ass. They volunteered to do it with Kevin. They volunteered to do it with Kendra G. Nobody made Kendra G go on Tamara Hall's show, who is married to a white man, and show her ass and look fucking stupid. Tamara Hall don't fuck with black men, even though black men have never given Tamara Hall a reason not to fuck with us. And black men went out of their way to fuck with Tamara Hall. Tamara Hall low-key built her career on on the low, on black men really liking her. And the thanks that we get. By the way, Tamara Hall's brown skin. But again, if these women have confidence issues in their own skin tone, they're going to find a way to blame us for that because they're allowed to blame us. They're not allowed to blame white people. There's actual penalties, punishments, and resources going to be taken away from black women for going at white men. That's why Cynthia G shut the fuck up talking about white men. She used to do that white devil, Neanderthal shit until they was like, bitch, you won't have a channel. And she shut that shit right on up. And so, the thing is, this colorism thing, they will sit here and they'll constantly talk about it's a black manosphere's fault. They made us look bad. No, we just showed you a mirror. We basically put you all on the witness stand, and you basically did what the Punisher did, what John Bernthal's character and Daredevil did. Well, y'all like it. I like shooting people. I'm gonna do it again. I'm not crazy. You did it over and over and over and over and over and over again. That's what you did. That's what y'all did. Because y'all can't keep it a secret. Your inability to keep the women's inability to keep their fucking mouth shut is what put y'all out there. And the truth is, like, even like with the Passport Bro thing, I gotta do a video really critiquing Passport Bros on a couple of things. The reality is black men have never, part of the critique is black men have never really, the way I see it is every time y'all try to make us look bad, every time you lie on us, we tell the truth about you. We have never really investigated y'all, and really, we only talk about 40% of what we can really put out. Black men know a lot more about black women, and black women think we don't know, which is why we don't talk about it. No, black men, there's a lot of shit that black men, even like dudes like Jap, David Carroll kind of alluded to a lot, some of it, but David Carroll didn't say everything. It's a lot of stuff we know about y'all, whether it's Caribbean, whether it's African American, whatever, that like, it would set y'all on fire. And we choose not to put it out there. It's a lot, like, for instance, black men really, it's an open secret that black women fuck other races other than white men. It's an open secret y'all be fucking Arabs. Y'all be fucking Indians. These motherfuckers don't even be having deodorant yet, and hairy as fuck. Yet somehow y'all finding y'all way on y'all knees. These motherfuckers ain't got nothing to do with white supremacy. That's how it's actually an open joke, especially when black women will say stupid shit like light skinned men are feminine. Yet we know y'all will hop on an Arab's dick or Hispanics. It's funny. It's actually funny to us when y'all say that, but people don't put you out there. We've never really went to war with you all. We basically endured your bullshit so we can get our side of the story out. I'm gonna tell you right now, if we really we have not tried to dox y'all. Usually when y'all get doxed or women get shit put out here, like when Kara's daughter's business got put out here, which I'm not gonna repeat. That was a woman. We usually find that out because when women are having spats with each other, when Chrissy and Paris and all of that, and they start telling on each other to as a warfare tactic, that's usually because we're not interested. If we really wanted to dig into all of y'all, like really dig into y'all, like for real, like a lot of y'all really don't know. Y'all really don't know. We got people that are police officers. We got people that we really needed to get information. And I'm not necessarily talking about doxing people. I'm just talking about, okay, we need to figure out who we really working with so we kind of know how to angle where your touch point, your soft points are. We could, but we don't. Because we're not really trying to compete with women, and it was more about us telling the next generation what was up so they can make good decisions and make informed decisions regardless of this, whatever they want to do. Some of these dudes are going to choose to touch the hot stove because that's what they need to do, but at least they know what they're doing when they do it. At least they know it's hot, so if they touch it, it's motherfucking hot on the bottom. So if they put their hands on it, you can, they got it hot on the bottom. Have y'all seen that clip? Have y'all seen that clip? So at the end of the day, um, this colorism bullshit. I'm not like, even with SWP has had a lot more of a kind ear to it. I understand the actual the race treachery that black women have done. So I'm like, yo, colorism, please, y'all can live with that for real. And for the ones that's on the team are on the team. But a lot of you all blame colorism because you all can't get dudes that are out of your league. And colorism is a sweet lie that you all like to tell yourselves. And Chrissy finally said it. She finally said it. I ain't never seen a woman that bitch about color to talk about colorism that hasn't. I'll get the clip because this on Shay's video. I ain't never seen a black woman that talk about colorism and hasn't been able to get black men, which is proof positive colorism ain't got nothing to do with black men. That's real. They just use black men, but really their issue is the white supremacy colorism that they're subjected to. That's their real issue. Because truth be told, African American women don't deal with colorism like that. Hispanic women deal with more real colorism than African American women do. African American women, because they get it from the women too. African American women do not deal with colorism to the same extent as Asian women deal with colorism a lot more than African American women. They don't. They're really, and a big reason they don't. A lot of the stuff they do, they shoot themselves in the foot and then blame black men. Black women, when you promote, you cannot tell me promoting women like Red, Glorilla, Cardi B, and letting Cardi B represent you. I'll never forget looking at the Cardi B like skit or interview with Kelly Rowland, whatever that was. That was actually a really good moment for black women because it really showed like this is an extreme dichotomy of a light-skinned, non-black chick versus the African American chick. That's the type of dichotomy you should want to promote. But you don't hear black women talking about that, do you? The pageant thing I talked about, you don't hear black women talking about that, do you? Because they're more interested in finding some universal thing to blame black men on. You notice how black women don't really talk about colorism independent of black men? It's always something that goes hand in hand. Because in their mind, black women not being able to deal with white men is white men or non-black men is black men's fault. It is a black men's fault. Fuck the fact they haven't been able to do that even when they just had the only mic in the room, aka the talk show circuit and all that. I remember when Oprah did that thing, how many of y'all are open to date white men, all of them to date white men, and somehow you think black men are supposed to help you date outside your fucking race? What fucking race do you know? What fucking men do you know that does that? That actually helps their women. Asians don't even do that. What the fuck are you talking about? So it's like, yeah, I want to blame the black manosphere. The black manosphere made black men, the black women look bad. Yeah, bitch, and what are you going to do about it? Let's say that is true. Bitch, what you going to do about it? You've been around 15 fucking years. You failed. The reality is you got the Black Female Accountability Department. And here's the irony. The irony of this shit is most of these women, Dee, Reva, Danica has been around, Shay, all these chicks, some of these chicks may talk to the manosphere more than others, but they're their own people. When they came for Shay Shardae's channel, the bitches, that was her husband that got that shit back put together. She's her own person. She's her own person. She what she says is not based on what we told her. It's based on Dee, all of them. All of them. Some of them pander, some of them don't. They're their own people. And y'all can't bully them, so y'all can't say it's like a war because we don't even interact. Like, you don't really see me mention Dee Dee or Reba TV's channel. I forget what to call it. She's Jamaican and she's in Jamaica right now. She do content and like, you know, because for the most part, a lot of the purple pill guys are the ones that interact with the women. For the most part, the red pill guys are really like, yo, it's a waste of time talking to a woman. Like, you got some channels that, will promote because, I mean, Crimson Cure is like the only chick you can really say is associated with the manosphere. And truth be told, Crimson Cure is supported by the manosphere, but she's her own person. Pink Book Lessons is her own person. Pink Book Lessons is her own person. And truth be told, she's way bigger than you. And she don't even show her face. Either. She's her own person. She's her own entity. I remember when she was making Jason Black videos on different stuff what Jason Black was talking about. Like, the truth is, yeah, I got a whole list of females I could share to other women. I don't even argue with these chicks. I'll just, look, in fact, I need to put that list together so y'all can just say, look, listen to this person, this person, this person. Some of them, and they're all on, sides of the spectrum, but they're all, for the most part, on point. You lost. You lost. Even though you don't like Paris failed. Paris let a channel a lot smaller than her basically run her off YouTube. You all lost. Cynthia G is just now back, but so is Obsidian too. You lost. You failed. You tried to shut us down. It failed. It's so big that it's not even recognized really as red pill no more. It just is. So now you got a whole bunch of bitter bitches that basically wasted a whole decade talking about fucking colorism. And y'all still talk. Y'all gonna die talking about fucking, and then talking about, and as far as the promotional shit, your value comes from your men. And because you don't understand that fundamental fact, that was doomed to fail. That's why it was gonna fail without men. Because if you keep saying your men don't value you, then other groups are gonna be, well, fuck, why should I? Even though black men do value black women, we just don't like how they act. You all saying that we're not valued. Well, why should they value? Why would a white man value you more than a black man? You don't understand that. Because again, you all can't get out. Again, you all are trying to graduate out of blackness. That's what you all are really trying to do. And then and then black women love to gaslight black men using pro-blackness. But a lot of the pro-black women that talk about white men the most be the ones that be hopping on white dick the most. Black men are just too fucking stupid to realize that. So anyway, I'll share Shay Sade's video because some of y'all are probably like, what the fuck am I talking about? But I just wanted to put that out there. Sometimes, motherfuckers love to blame the space. Maybe I'll pass this pinata to BGS. Because I know that always irks Chrissy real well when daddy starts talking to her like a child. When I say daddy, I mean, that's a euphemism for her. Yeah, a lot of colorism channels are run by non-FBA women. That's another secret. That's another secret. Trust me, you get caught in that colorism TikTok, especially with non-black women, like these biracials or South Asian women. These are basically, all of this comes down to bitches upset that white men either are fucking with them on some bitch take what I give you type shit, or they not fucking with them at all. That's usually what all that always comes down to. Almost always. Koreans have a lot of unreported criminality. Shout out to Landon. Make sure y'all support the Cash App. Shout out to Stefan, the pro-black woman. Not they pro-black women, not people. Yeah, they are pro-black women. You said Beyonce's a full-blown white woman now. Shout out to Israel. They only deal in the bed, and that's why their conversations always revolve around who men that. Yep, complain about colorism, but ways. Yeah, like black women have not done it. You can tell they've had a whole decade to promote their own femininity. They choose to promote the bottom. They choose to race to the bottom, and you don't really see them really critiquing that. Not really. Yeah, black men would actually get behind that. Because you got a lot of black men, but and like I said, SLP has always had much more kinder ear than I have to it, and maybe that's because he's darker. But I've seen the flip side of it. I've seen it, and a lot of these women I've been fetishized, low key, and I've been and then people gonna talk about like again this colorism stuff. This has more to do with their mindset because again, what women don't under this is the thing women don't understand because they think I'm just saying that men have to earn pussy. Women can give it away. Men have to earn it. So colorism is most men, like 95% of men, like and black men are not gonna be like, yeah, you know what, that bitch is attractive, but she's dark, so I can't bring her to my. What do you mean you're not hearing anything? Anyway, well, I've said what I need. Oh, y'all gone.